Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, where it may be. I'll give you a quick rundown on tonight's podcast. We're going to talk, of course, about the aftermath of the George Floyd verdict, guilty on all three counts. Thank you, God, and thank you, America. We're going to also have a special segment today on Cincinnati sports. I communicate with a lot of Cincinnati sports fans on Twitter, and given that I live in Cincinnati, though I'm a Steelers fan. But anyway, we're going to have a guest on tonight who knows all things Cincinnati sports, so we should have lots of fun with that. And as always, we're going to get into some HBCU news as far as HBCU sports is concerned. Had a big game over this past weekend with Arkansas Pine Bluff doing the damn thing. And last but not least, always follow up with some random shit, stuff that we just pops into our heads while doing the podcast and we forgot to talk about. So anyway, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. You'd be glad you did, and I'd be glad you did. And last but not least, get the merch. Okay, so until then, let's go get it, y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever you be. This is Scott Burks, this edition of the Klown Hour podcast. You can check us out on the web, on Facebook. Just go to Facebook or go to search window and type in the Klown Times, which is the name of my sports blog, and you'll be able to find us there with your smartphone, desktop, laptop. Also, working backwards here, speaking of my blog, www.theklowntimes.net, that's Klown spelled with a K. Find me there as well. And get to my co-host, Dwayne Nash, fellow Aggie. Thank you, Bright. You can check out his stuff on the HBCU Sports, reps about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Radio every Tuesday now on Facebook Live. Check him and his crew out there as well. And you can check out his great work on herosports.com and raps about all things HBCU sports as it pertains to FCS athletics. And one more thing about me, get the merch.
Get the merch.
CafePress.com. Search for the Klown Times Sports, and you're able to find us there as well. The actual link will be in the description in YouTube tomorrow, so you can find us there as well. So we got a good surprise tonight. Got a cool segment. You notice my guest here. You see the 513 is representing all things Cincinnati sports. And he's one of my crew who I rap with on Twitter, one of the Cincinnati crew, since I live in Cincinnati, even though I'm a Steelers fan. But anyway, the point is that I enjoy rapping with these cats. And also, he also doubles as my fraternity brother and my line brother. I pledged with him many moons ago. Can you believe it's been 20 years? 20 years. But anyway, we old as hell, but my man Andre Edwards is in the house. Andre, it's your first time on the video version because you've done the audio version many times. So what's up, brother?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? It's good to be here, man. Appreciate you having me.
You got it, bro. You got it. So before we get into it, let's just touch on what the big news in the world. George Floyd, the George Floyd trial reaction. We were talking on camera earlier, man. It's like, I'm not going to call the officer's name. We all know what happened.
Yeah.
He was found thankfully guilty on all three counts unanimously. No hung jury bullshit, none of that shit. Second degree murder, third degree murder, second degree manslaughter. I wish, like probably you two and many others, that he was tried on first degree murder, but hell, I mean, we take what we can get, right? Yeah. But I was mentioning this too off camera. It's like, isn't it sad that I'm not I don't want to say joyous, but it's like I was like shocked. Even though the whole world saw what happened for 9 minutes and I think 49 seconds.
Yeah.
Where the man just dies before your very eyes. And God bless the young lady, I think she was 17 years old at the time, I forget her name, but who actually videoed that. She's the true hero. Even though the officers told her not to do it and I think threatened her. And she still recorded. She's having to be out with her niece. So God bless her for that, because who the hell knows what happened if she wasn't there. But anyway, the point what I'm trying to say is that I know people out there are being optimistic about the outcome, particularly what happened last summer as far as every state had protests. And the makeup of said protesting were largely our white brothers and sisters.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for that to shoot a drop. It's sad that I'm sad that I'm so skeptical, but we had years of this shit happening.
You can't be an African American in this country.
Yeah.
That this is the end, right? Or that we've turned some sort of corner.
Mm-hmm.
This is potentially just a one-off, right? And
Mhm.
and I'll tell you what really scares me,
Mm-hmm.
the retaliation that comes from it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, let's look back. Let's be real honest and real straightforward. Part of the reason that Donald Trump became our president was the backlash to 8 years of Barack Obama.
Van
Right?
Jones said that. Van Jones said
Right?
that shit. Yeah.
100%. That's why that dude in particular,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about Republican, I don't care about Democrat. You vote wherever you want to vote, right?
Correct.
But that specific person was made our president as a direct consequence of 8 years of Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think for 1 minute that this cop going to jail is now the beginning of all these cops going to jail because of stuff that they've done. Don't believe it for 1 second.
No, I agree. D, you got something to say?
No.
Add to that?
Yeah, of course. I completely understand why we're skeptical. And I say we because listen to Andre's answer and going off of how I also feel. And Scott, don't feel bad for feeling the way that you feel because I feel the exact same way. A lot of that is rooted in the fact that we're old. I mean, of course, the gray in my beard kind of indicates that I am of a particular age, but we've seen some things and throughout our time on this planet. And because of that has made us feel a particular type of way about things of as it pertains to social justice in this country. So no, I completely understand exactly where you're coming from. I didn't want to necessarily get too excited myself either, because yes, he was found guilty, but he still hasn't been sentenced yet. We don't know what the sentencing is going to be.
Exactly.
And
exactly. Yeah.
Once again,
that part.
You would think based upon how everything has gone so far that he would receive the maximum sentencing, but we don't know yet.
So I've done a little bit of research into sentencing, especially in that state and what they can do. And essentially the first count comes with a maximum of 40 years. The second count comes with like a maximum of like 20, 25 years. And the third count comes with like a maximum of 10 years.
Yeah.
In that state though, they don't do it consecutively, right?
Yes.
So it's not like he's going to serve 70 years in prison because of each one of those counts falling through.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, from what I can gather, unless the judge makes some sort of special accommodation, he's probably looking at 10 to 15 total.
Yeah.
And plus he'll be in the prison that's probably not going to be in Minnesota. It's probably going to be, I don't want to say like Club Med, but let's just say he won't be in general population.
Right.
Where people can actually say, okay, let's see how tough you really are about that, man. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen to him.
I was wanting a situation where you would discover what Mexican got on boots means, but I guess that won't happen. And
right.
God, I'm trying to remember this young lady's quote last night that I heard. Now the reason why I don't remember because I was half asleep, but it made total sense. This isn't necessarily justice. This is more so
accountability.
Accountability. There you go. To paraphrase it, that's exactly what she said. Yeah, because justice would mean we would have him back.
Justice we'll be alive, right?
Yeah, we and we're not going to get that.
Right.
So once again, Scott, yeah, I'm right there with you. That's why I'm not. I'm not jumping for joy. I'm not doing like I did in the ignorant mindset, I'll also say that too. When O.J. Simpson was said to be not guilty, and I did a backspin in our student union. I was young, I was dumb. It was a black man getting off. Okay, cool. But now I've gotten older and I've seen some things, and I can't get happy about this. I can't, because justice wasn't necessarily served. It just happens to be weird that we're celebrating this victory because things went the way they were supposed to go, based upon.
It's not hard. It's not
That's
hard.
what you're supposed to do.
It's not hard. Right. It's not hard. It's not hard. Okay, go back to Michael Brown. Go back to Trayvon Martin, even though it was at the hands of a wannabe vigilante. Go back to Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old child. My son's 11.
Yeah.
Just turned 11 and just passed January.
Yeah.
He was the 12-year-old boy playing with a toy gun in the park.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if you guys remember this or heard about this. It was a short time later after that, maybe a month or maybe it's a few months or a year after that happened. I don't know if it was the same park, but it was in Cleveland. There's the two white kids around the same age, playing with guns. They were stopped by policemen, but the policemen talked to them and cautioned them against using the toy gun at a park because someone called the cops on them.
Right.
That's what did not happen to another 12-year-old boy a year prior.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so all that, common sense, all that. Why, if you're a grown-ass man, why are you threatened by a 12-year-old boy with a toy gun?
Because you people are intimidating.
Yeah. That's a punk ass, but that's not a here nor there. But Sandra Bland before that. Okay, Eric Garner, who died over loose cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right.
You take people to jail for loose cigarettes. You don't kill them.
No.
Hell, you give them a ticket. You find
them
them.
a ticket.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are so many other outcomes that should happen that do not even remotely come to death.
Yeah. And how about Ahmaud Arbery, who we only found out because someone had one of the idiots actually got arrogant enough to post a video.
Right.
Yeah.
And no one went to arrest him even then. Right. Yeah. And no one wanted to arrest him even then because he was a former cop. One of them was a former cop. So stuff like that is heartbreaking, but that's our reality. If we can go before that, we all know to remember Rodney King.
Yeah.
We were in high school and college. Yeah, him too. We were in Brooklyn at the time, visiting relatives when that happened. So, confusing the wallet and get lit up by 40 times. Yeah. Over a wallet. How can people mistake a wallet for a gun, especially with people with badges? I'll never know, but hey. Or I could go, and Andre, I don't know if you remember this right quick. It was here in Cincinnati. It was like in the late 90s. It was like a mentally disturbed brother was outside of, I guess, the VA or one of these hospitals here. Yeah,
up there by UC. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you remember. So basically, Dwayne, he held up a brick. And correct me if I'm wrong, Andre, because I remember bits and pieces of it. He held up a brick. This is right before I moved here for the first time. And long story short, the whole police, the cops, I don't know, 5, 10 cops, I don't know how many there were. They lit his ass up.
Because of a brick?
He held a brick. If you're a cop, one could assume 2 or 3 of you can get the brick out the man's hand and arrest him. But no, they shot him several times.
A brick?
He held a brick like this and told him to stay away. I don't know what he told him, but he held up a brick. He was cornered.
I don't care what he said.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, I have a rock in my hand.
Right.
The most damage that I can do is chuck this rock at one of you.
Yes. And
look, if you do this, it's over, right? Yes. I got nothing else.
Right.
I'm out.
Right.
What's the threat? What's the reason that I have to die?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not tased, not tackled.
Yeah.
If there's multiple cops, let's all jump
Just
on.
Just bum rush him.
I'm not with anybody.
Just bum rush him.
Me and my brick.
Yeah.
Yo, he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Soriano. He's not going to drill it at your head and kill you with it. Okay, all right, fine. But still, dude.
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to sit here and brag on myself. I was capable of stopping a young man from stabbing a homeless dude that wanted to fight him on the bus. Well, the young man didn't want to go at him in the first place, but the homeless guy kept getting in his face and wanted to fight him. And the guy had a knife. The young boy had a knife, and I saw him, you know, he had the knife by his side, but he didn't want a lot of people to see it. It was on a bus. Bus driver didn't get involved in it. And I'm like, yo, can you do something? I'm trying to go home. It's after it's 5 o'clock. I want to go home. I want to go to sleep. Somebody call the cops. Call somebody to stop this from happening. Nobody wanted to do anything. I got up in between the gentlemen, and I talked him down. Dude, you couldn't talk a dude down with a brick. You couldn't tackle the dude with a brick. You couldn't come up and Lawrence Taylor swiped the brick out of his hand from behind. You had to shoot him.
And let's not talk about what happened in Columbus.
Just now, 15-year-old girl with a knife.
Yeah.
Kids,
knife.
We got grown people, grown people who show up to the scene who were called by the 15-year-old, by the way, for trying to defend herself from being jumped and bullied by some other folks. So she has a knife. She's upset. She's out of control. I get it. I understand. This is a situation that you don't necessarily want to walk into, right? I get it. But you got a baton. You got a taser.
Yeah.
You got multiple cops. I understand you don't want to get stabbed. I promise you I do. I'm not telling any cop to go run in there and get yourself stabbed. I'm not telling you.
No, neither am I.
Right?
No.
But you have other means of subduing a 15-year-old girl rather than putting bullet holes in her.
Right.
You also have, let me go to the extreme of you feeling the need to pull a gun. How about you shoot her in the leg?
Yeah.
Right? You want to scare the piss out of a 15-year-old girl? The crowd and tell you the next one going in, you put the knife down, girl.
Unless she RoboCop or the Terminator. Yeah. Matter of fact, not even that. One in the air.
Yes.
The next one is going in, you put the knife down.
Everybody chill out. Payow.
Yeah. They do it in movies. They do it in neighborhoods.
They do it in neighborhoods.
Even gangsters know better to put the gun in the air if they want to send a message. Now, if the gangster knows that, or Blood or Crip knows that, you know a damn cop has to know that. Come on.
She wasn't holding a gun. It's not like
right.
Quick draw, right? Where I'm like, if I shoot, you don't shoot. Okay, one of us is going. She's got a knife, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Make better choices. Make better decisions. You have that opportunity. You have that power.
So let's just close the segment on this, because it still is for people who watching this, America watching this. This is why we're upset. This is why we're chronically upset. We've seen this before. It's just that we're shocked as hell.
I'm tired.
We're tired. We're so sick and tired.
I'm not upset anymore. I'm tired.
I'm exhausted with this shit. So even though common sense prevailed unanimously, even though we had video, it's still, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now, I'll say this. This is the first step. I'm not celebrating. I'm waiting to see what they're going to do with Dante. What's his last name? What's the name of the brother who also got killed in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see what happens with this trial. I'm waiting to see what happens with this young lady in Columbus. I'm also waiting to see what happened to the 3 other police officers who also were involved in murdering George Floyd.
Yep.
The trial is August the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. So there you have it. So that's what I'm waiting for. That's what the rest of Black America, and it should be an American problem. I think a lot of other Americans are concerned about that as well. So that's why we're exhausted. I'm tired. I'm like almost like, I'm like mad at this point because I'm so numb to it.
Well, Scott, the reason why it's not an American problem is because it's not to be stereotypical, but I am going to be for the sake of this conversation.
Sure,
it's not happening to little Brad.
Right.
You know, it's not happening to, you know, let's just go ahead. I'll be PC about it. It's people of a lighter shade. It's not happening to them. So that's why it's not an American problem. I'm applauding those who feel the sympathy within for us, and want to see justice made because justice done because they understand that it can be, but until you're capable of feeling it, man, you're not going to feel it. Until you don't until you understand, empathy. You won't understand.
Right. It's called empathy.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that. Not here anyway.
No.
And I almost forgot, I hate to say it like this, but I almost forgot about the young, I think he's a Latino child in Chicago.
Oh, the
13-year-old young man. Yeah, the 13-year-old kid.
But once again, he's of a darker shade.
Yeah.
So that's Latino. Why, you know, the Latinos understand, you know, and because it happens to them too. Yeah. You know, Native Americans, they understand because it happens to them.
Yep.
So until it happens to you, it makes it difficult for you to understand.
And that's all
for some people, unfortunately.
Right. And yeah, it takes some empathy. I'm not going to, and I'll close the segment on this, guys, because I don't want to get in a foul mood. I don't, that's why I'm not going to give any energy to, and we know who, you know, a couple young ladies, one of them is a darker shade like us. Two guys who with two certain shows, one's real popular on a certain network, bitching about policemen didn't get a fair trial. I'm not going to get any energy to that. It is what it is. Some of them know better, which is why it's more disgusting, but it is what it is. But the point is,
you find one person of color, who's talking that stuff, they'll put them on TV.
Oh yeah,
yeah, of course.
This person represents more people than you think they do.
And both of the young ladies are unemployed. They're just pundits. So it is what it is.
Well, the sad thing, Andre, is that they do represent more people than what we would expect, right?
Yeah.
But
because I would expect zero.
Yes.
That part. And I'll leave it at that. But Scott, you ain't got to worry about feeling angry or anything, because I'm about to say something real dumb in about 2 or 3 minutes. I don't even know what it's going to be, but I know when I'm going to say something dumb. So, yeah, get ready.
We'll move right along. Cool. So the reason why I got Andre on here is because, you know, a lot of stuff been going on here in this wonderful city of Cincinnati. The Queen City, even though growing up in North Carolina, I say Charlotte's the real Queen City, but we're not going to get into that debate.
Yo, people in this area will say Baltimore is the Queen City. So I understand what the definition of Queen City is. Hey, I crown them all. You can have more than one queen.
You want to crown them? Crown that ass.
Okay. That's right. Or who we thought they were.
Not my hook. All right. So I'm a Cincinnati resident. Obviously, my wife's a Cincinnati native, as is Andre. So we'll give some love to Cincinnati right quick. So a lot of things have been happening, and one of them has an HBCU connection, which we'll get into later. But anyway, it's baseball season now. We've been going back and forth about, you know, and we have a text group of just us Lion brothers. A lot of them, except for maybe 2 or 3 of us, are Reds fans, and all from the Cincinnati area, greater Cincinnati area.
Oh, so all of you guys are baseball fans?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have to ask this. I have to ask this question. This is just for personal knowledge, because of the conversation that I've had constantly. You guys are baseball fans because you were introduced to baseball as children, right?
Yes. Correct.
Just wanted to make sure. All right, I don't want to ask about the family dynamic. No, seriously, because that's another part of the conversation.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were introduced to it as a child has something to do with the reason why you're a fan now. Okay, yeah, that was something that I wanted to confirm to myself. But yeah, that's an ongoing conversation. I'll talk to you guys about that after the show.
Okay, cool.
But yeah.
Cool, yeah. So basically, my grandfather introduced me to baseball when I was 10. And so my Western grandfather in Brooklyn. So that's where I get my love for baseball. First, my grandfather. Rest in peace. But yeah, so anyway, we're talking about the Reds. Now, I was mad And I told you this to Wayne a few weeks ago when we previewed MLB.
Yeah,
I was mad about
waiting when you said Reds. I was like, okay, we about to get into this one.
Yeah, because I told my man Andre this too. I told Ace this. I was like, yo, I was bitching about why did they not bring back Trevor Bauer? I was bitching about that for the whole offseason, right?
Yes.
And so my man, like I call Andre Ace because he was the ace of our line. I told Ace, I was like, yo, you closer to this than I am. So enlighten me because I didn't understand this for a long time because, you're in it to you it's professional sports. You're into when I get the small markets have the smaller margin of error. They say the Yankees, the Cubs, Red Sox, we go on and on. And the Dodgers, by the way. The rich keep getting richer, speaking of Trevor Bauer. But anyway, the Reds are doing pretty good. They're off to a good start. I know it's like maybe not even 20 games to 162, but they're doing well. They're very talented. They're first place in the NL Central. So let me just bring this conversation back home here. So Andre, tell us about the dynamics of Cincinnati Reds, like as far as fans like me, like bitching about not resigning Trevor Bauer or making all the cost-cutting moves the last few seasons leading up to this point. So just enlighten us from a fan's point of view about why Cincinnati does what they do.
So I think I need to start with the caveat of I wish that we had an ownership group that was willing to go into its own pocket to make this team better, right? If there was one wish that I would like to wave a magic wand over the Cincinnati Reds, it would be to have an ownership group that doesn't care whether we make money or not, right? Now, what you have currently in the Castellinis is a guy who doesn't necessarily want to make money, but he does not want to lose money, right? His goal, and he said this, he said it in multiple interviews, is to break even. So anything that he makes from a profit standpoint, if you believe him at his word, is to take any and all profits and put them back into the team, whether that's improving the facilities, whether that's getting different players, re-signing players, restructuring contracts, all those things. So as long as he's to the positive or down to zero, we're good. The issue became last year, like with everything else, COVID hit. You couldn't sell any tickets. You don't have the same revenue streams from a network perspective like the Yankees, who have their own network, or the Dodgers, or the Cubs, or any of those things. You're on at that time Fox Sports Ohio, right? Or now it's called Valley Sports, which I can't even watch a damn Reds game in my own house, which is ridiculous.
Oh, wow. That's a whole other conversation.
So ridiculous. Yeah. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. But like I said, those contracts, they lost, I can't remember the number, but I would just say he came up significantly behind from a revenue perspective based upon not being able to sell tickets, not being able to sell concessions, losing 100 games, and if you split it out, have 50 games that would have been at home, right, that they lost due to the pandemic. So that is a significant portion of money that now he has to dip into his own coffers to be able to cover. Well, if I lost $60 million, while I may have, $750 million, well, now I'm down to $690 million. So I had to spend $60 million to get me back to zero on this baseball team that's supposed to be my side hustle, right? Like this is my for fun money. This is my play money. Play money is not supposed to interfere with daddy's every day, right? But now play money is interfering with daddy's every day. We need to make some changes. We got to make some decisions because I'm not going to dip back into my coffers again next year.
Yeah.
So then it comes to, you look at, all right, Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer is going to command a significant chunk of money. Is the investment worth it to me? Because I know that money is going to have to come out of my pocket.
Right.
Is that what I want to do? I don't know. We got Sonny Gray. We got Luis Castillo, who's been pitching like trash this year, but that's okay. Sonny Gray, we got Luis Castillo. We got a couple other dudes that we think, Tyler Malley. We got a couple other dudes we think can make this, rotation work. Will we be okay with losing by far the best pitcher from an ace perspective that we've had? But will we be okay enough if you think about it long term, in a 7-game series where I can pitch Sonny Gray twice, where I can get Castillo in there a time, maybe 2 times? Do we really need a Trevor Bauer at $35 million a year, or can we get by with this, right? Mm-hmm. You got a pitching coach you really believe in, who you're like, okay, maybe we can move Raisel Iglesias, maybe we can move a couple other pieces, bring in some cheaper pieces that my pitching coach has been shown to be able to work on reclamation projects and bring them in and make them usable pieces, viable pieces, right? Mm-hmm. And so financially, it just made sense to do it this way. And again, I want to be very clear. I wish the Reds had an ownership group that was okay with losing money and dipping into their own pockets. I'm not going to fault a man for not wanting to spend his own money.
Of course, not would I.
And he's not hurting because, the Reds are worth over $1 billion. If he was hurting, he would just sell the team, right?
Yeah.
He came in and bought it for $250 million or whatever it was at the time. It's worth well over $1 billion at this point. So if you're hurting, just sell the team. Right. Not hurting, but I also don't want to dip into my own pockets.
Correct.
And that's where the conflict comes in.
And you know what, man? And there's another layer to this is the farm system. The farm system is the lifeblood of every organization. This is why another small market team that I was taught to hate being a Cincinnati resident, the St. Louis Cardinals. It's like, that's why they're always in it, or always a factor every single year, is because they're so damn well run.
Yep.
That's just from the top to the bottom to the farm. The farm systems is great.
Yep.
That's why they're in it every year as a smaller market team. I won't call them smaller market team, is because of that. I mean, you look at the Tampa Bay Rays. Mm-hmm. They have a fabulous farm system. Mm-hmm. So they're able to withstand the losses of losing the players to like the bigger markets. Yep. They can say, okay, next man up.
Yeah, I think that has been a big issue for the Reds in general. Mm-hmm. Is they spent so many years picking so high in the draft and coming away with really nothing. Mm-hmm. in things, right? I mean, what's Nick Senzel really gonna be? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's Hunter Green gonna be? Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What's Robert Stevenson? I don't know, but he ain't here no more, right?
Wow.
I mean, you what was Homer Bailey? I don't know, but he ain't here no more.
Yeah,
so
Homer
you
Bailey.
have really high draft picks that you're counting on to make impacts. Where I look at other teams and they're calling up a dude, he played 1 year in A-ball, he's 19 years old, he's coming into the big leagues, or he's 20 years old, or he's 21. Reds cats don't come up till like 22, 23. They didn't kick around the minor leagues for 4-5 years. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, just go hire somebody from St. Louis's front office scouting department and make them the head of scouting, and let's go. Yeah. Right? Go talk to the Tampa Bay Rays and hire one of their dudes and get them the San Diego Padres, another team that just
especially them.
Man, their farm system is amazing. Let's stop messing around with this. We just promoted this dude from bat boy to super. Stop it, man. Go to the best organization and take the best people and make them your people.
Yeah. And which is a shame because we're all baseball fans, so we know the history of the Reds, as far as the tradition. They're the first professional team in this country, the oldest, and they've won what, 5? How many World Series? 5 World Series? 5? 6?
I know 3 in my lifetime. We'll go with that.
There you go. Yes, two from the 70s, one from like 1990 when they shot the Oakland A's. I remember that. I remember that one too. Like yesterday. Eric Davis just blowing up the spot. I think with Frank, not Frank Robinson. I think they won one in the fifth, sixth. I forgot. But the point is they won more than 3. I think they won like 5 or 6. But point is that there's tradition there. And when we had the All-Star game here, what was it? What was it, 4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, when they celebrated the 150th year of existence. Yeah. So that was huge. So the point is that it's full of tradition. It's not like the Arizona Diamondbacks. The team has tradition.
It's not like the Nationals. Hey, I'll kill them as much as I can, but I can't say much being a Braves fan because there's not a lot of tradition there. The team that bounced around from, Milwaukee. Okay, fine, but I'll let the Washington National fans have it too. But I get no tradition, but you would expect. I mean, this should go throughout all sports, from the pros to the collegiate level, even high school. Hey, if I see someone that I'm competing against or in my region and they're doing it well, I can't seem to find guys to do it well myself. Hey, I think that dude's doing a good job. What if I bring him here? Yeah. How hard is that? That's not hard at all.
Right. Or at least that person's right-hand person, right? Because I'm not going to make a lateral move per se to a different team, but you can take this dude. He's learned under me for the last 5 years. He could be what I am here for you there.
Or it could be a lateral move with the promise of you moving up.
Sure,
quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, if it's a spot where, your GM that you're learning under is someone that's entrenched, that has history, won a couple of titles, he's not going nowhere.
Right.
Our GM is trash. Maybe he can learn a little something from you. And if he don't listen to you, maybe we can get him out of here and boost you up. Maybe we can do that. I've seen that happen too. So it boggles my mind when it comes to anything in sports. Whenever there's a blueprint and you don't want to copy that blueprint to success, you're just being stubborn.
Yes. In
my eyes. And it hurts me whenever I see an organization of any type go through that. Just being stubborn, and your own stubbornness is hindering your success.
Well, I'll say this.
Welcome to being a Bengals fan.
We'll get to them.
Hey. You must not be listening to Andre. I'm a Washingtonian. So when it comes to being stubborn and your own success, hey, what about them Wizards going on right now?
Oh man!
I mean,
at least you got the Capitals. At least you got the Capitals. So,
but you know what? I'm not a big hockey fan. Like, I'm glad that they won. It brought joy to the city. Yay! But oh my God, the Washington football team and I swear, if Wes Unseld was still living, I'd still punch him in the gut. But that's for another reason in itself. But number 2 on that list is trading away Chris Webber. Oh my God!
Yeah.
It's not about me and my problems. We're talking about the Reds, and we're talking about why if Crow may not be ready for Scott to eat right now, but that oven is on preheat. When he was sitting here trashing the Reds, I'm sitting here like,
he knows.
Oh my God.
We've had this whole entire conversation already.
And speaking of Reds, I'll say this. I told him, I said Herschel they off to do a damn good start. One thing I have hope for the Reds because of how they did against St. Louis. When after St. Louis beat them down the first game, how they showed the toughness and Moxie. My man, I forget his name, got suspended for 2 games. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah,
he was tough. Yeah. And Cincinnati showed tough. Y'all showed some toughness against your hated rivals, the Cardinals.
Yep.
They don't care about y'all, but you care about them, which is okay.
No,
that's real. It happens, right? Until you can put Big Brother in his place, you will always be little brother, right? Until you can take that next step, it is what it is. They don't care. Yadier Molina doesn't care about that dude. Whatever, man. Get out of my face. But this is a step.
Yeah.
Towards making that move.
It's funny because I mean, we all know if you because I have actually Randy, like my wife Randy and I, we have good friends who are from St. Louis, who live in St. Louis, St. Louis born and bred. They give a shit about the Cubs. They're like the Reds, like I mean, one of them. This is a quote. The husband like Reds. All right, that was his quote. That was his quote. I'm serious. That was his quote. He was like, all right, but it's so funny living here is that we, again, the history. I knew the history of the Reds. I knew of the Big Red Machine. They beat the Pirates a lot. Like that was a main foe in the 70s, the Pirates, and then the Mets before that, early 70s. But it's really, you talk to my wife's relatives, Andre, friends of mine here, it's about the Cardinals. Yeah. Beating the Cardinals. And because again, Andre said it, that's Big Brother.
Yeah.
In the NL Central, that's Big Bro. That's Big Bro. And then there's sometimes that's little bro has gotten the better of Big Bro, but again, he's still Big Bro for a reason. Yeah. So until
look at the rest of the division. The Cubs were terrible forever. Yeah. Right. I mean, they just recently started being pretty decent, and I'm not even convinced that they're still going to be pretty decent. They're in some shifts and moving, right? Yeah. But they were terrible forever. Pittsburgh Pirates, they're okay sometimes, but most of the times, not really.
Especially this year, they're terrible.
It comes in very slow waves with the Pirates.
Yes.
It's like, in my lifetime, okay, I'm not necessarily old enough to remember We Are Family Pittsburgh.
Right.
But I do remember, of course, and of course they competed against my Braves, the Barry Bonds and the Andy Van Slyke era of Pittsburgh. And then
those are
that
great
way
years.
It came back again and it just receded again. And then it made a little
like the Andrew McCutcheons of the world, right?
Yes. Exactly.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So interesting waves.
But the Brewers, meh.
Yeah.
The one team that is really consistently dominated the division is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
And so until you can consistently, not just 1 year, not just a couple of years, but until you consistently can knock off Big Brother, they don't really pay you any attention.
Yeah.
Yep. And same thing with football. We'll get to that in a moment. And speaking of which, hell, might as well get to it now. We saw the jersey reveal, and Dwayne, you appreciate this because Dwayne is a graphics designer by trade.
Oh,
so
nice.
we talk about threads as pertains to, well, a lot of the time it pertains to HBCUs, but it just in general as well.
Okay, well, can you, while we just real quick on HBCUs, can you do something with my Morehouse Tigers? Anything like at all? Maroon and white just does not engender a lot of fear or intimidation or really anything. So
I'll say this real quick, right? So my mantra is, my design mantra comes from one of my old professors, right? And it's a very simple one within the design field. Simplicity is the key to good design, right? And I preface that statement with, I'll follow that statement by saying this. One of my favorite all-time uniforms in the NFL is the Cincinnati, not the Cincinnati, I'm sorry, it's the Cleveland Browns. Because of how simple it is. The Browns and the Steelers. Very simple, right? The color scheme, boom, boom, boom. I could see if Morehouse did something like that, maybe a couple of accents here and there on what they currently do. But yeah, whoever that is that's choosing some of the things that Morehouse does with their uniforms, that it feels like it's a Division II school when you see it. Hey, there are a lot of FCS HBCUs that do the same thing. Where I'm like, yo, are you D2 or D3 out here looking like this? and you got the likes of Under Armour, you got the likes of Nike and Adidas, supplying you with your uniforms. Now I know that, and this is one thing, and I'm gonna say this real quick, that a lot of fans don't understand. The uniform, the companies are uniform suppliers. They don't design the actual uniforms like they do, say, for Oregon, Florida State, stuff like that. Basically, they supply the uniforms with their stock, and someone on that staff, usually a coach, as I'm starting to learn more and more, that there's someone within that coaching staff that wants to handle certain things that they shouldn't, and one of it is design. I'm not saying no names. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that hint out there for those that know me. And they're the ones that choose the uniforms, right? And a lot of them don't have any sense of design. They just think that something's cool because they see somebody else do it, and that's the closest thing that they can mimic to what it is that they see.
Sure.
And that's what they put out uniforms. There. Yeah. So it is what it is, man. Yeah. So I'm here in
okay.
DC.
Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks.
Nation's Classic. I attended all of the Nation's Classics. I've seen all of the Morehouse unis, and I've seen them up close. And I'm like, yo, really? Man, but hey, if they would have bring me in, I could. But yeah.
I'm gonna send that in with my next alumni payment.
Hey, tell them come holler at me. I'll help them out most definitely with what they got. Yeah.
All right, but anyway, my Bengals. To your point, D. Simplicity is key. They got rid of all the crap that I didn't like on the previous uniforms.
Yeah.
That ugly white side panel running down the side of that was garbage. Just garbage.
Yeah.
The giant like shadow behind the numbers.
Yeah.
Now it's just a nice clean outline stitched around each number. They got rid of the two different colors with two different color stripes running through the two different color. It's just a hot mess. Right?
Yeah.
They took it and you just put 3 stripes on the shoulders. You made it all one color. You got rid of the side panels. You got rid of the shadows. You got rid of the different color of the name block across the back, and you just made it plain with just the letters. They took and added a little bit of flair to it by cutting off the number. So the 9, if you look on Joe Burrow's jersey, it's a 9, and the bottom of the 9 kind of slashes off at the end. And basically they're that represents kind of the tiger claws coming through and ripping off the rest of the number, right? So there's some creativity to it, but the creativity and the appreciation of it comes from just the simplicity of it all.
It's subtle.
Yes.
It's subtle.
It's cleaner. Yeah. It's much cleaner. It's much cleaner.
Clean. It's
much cleaner. Yeah.
It's modern, yet with a callback to what they used to do, right?
Yes.
To me, that's what blends those two things really, really, really well together. You could always ask for a couple of this and maybe change a little bit of that, or whatever. In the grand scheme of things, I thought they did a fantastic job. And the little extra touch of the Paul Brown signature on the inside of the collar.
Yeah, I like that.
I heard one of the beat writers talking, and they were like, man, it'd have been really great if they took that signature and either put it on the breastplate or maybe even on the collar, but on the outside of the collar in the back. And the response was, if you know anything about my grandfather or my great grandfather, they're not in the limelight people, right? Let the players be in the spotlight. Let the coaches do that type of stuff. I'm here to run the team. I'm here to own the team. I'm here to do the stuff in the background. So as kind of a more so as an Easter egg to fans and players, it was, hey, let's slide this in on the inside so that you know that what you're wearing came from this dude. Anybody else got to know? I'm good.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, man, because I remember I'm of a certain age. We're all around the same age. I'm a little bit older than y'all. I remember when I started watching football when I was 7 years old, right before the 1981 season. Mm-hmm. So I barely remember the old Bengals, the word Bengals.
The word Bengals, yes.
I vaguely remember those. Mm-hmm. But I do remember the Tiger Stripes when they first came out, the Tiger Stripes. Mm-hmm. I thought I was like, wow, it's a real look. I knew who they were. I just didn't put it together because again, I was 7, 8 years old, and that started that run in the 80s of dominance. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to make Andre cry right now, but there was if you go back to the 70s, there was a guy by the name of Greg Cook.
Yeah,
quarterback from, I think he's from the University of Cincinnati, right? And he was a stud. But the injury guys said no. And Andre, Dwayne, this is how good this kid was. Well, he's obviously older man now, but I think he's passed actually, right?
Yeah.
He passed. But the point is, this is how much of a stud he was. It was said that, I mean, when they set up they had a whole vertical passing game because dude had an arm. So many people said outside of Cincinnati that if Greg Cook were to have stayed healthy throughout the 70s, it would have. Ken Anderson would still been there, obviously, but he would have just taken over in the 80s like he did anyway. But the point is that if Greg Cook were around and healthier, there wouldn't have been a Steelers dynasty. If you look at those Bengals teams in the 70s, mm-hmm. the Bengals are actually good in the 70s. Many people do not know how good the Bengals were in the 70s. They remember Pittsburgh. They remember Houston in the latter part of the 70s. Yeah. They don't remember the early part of the 70s with Cincinnati. And there was one season where the top 3 teams in the AFC Central, I think Cincinnati finished second or third, but had only 2 or 3 losses. Yeah. 2 of those losses were to Pittsburgh.
Wow.
I think that was the 75 season. I forgot. But
now help me out, because I think I may have seen a documentary on this cat. This is the dude that had an injury on his arm, his throwing arm.
That's him.
Had it been today, of course, like a lot of these injuries now, would be able to be repaired easily, but it was one of those things that it didn't heal right.
Yep.
And he can never throw.
And he was never the same.
So, yeah, I did hear about that cat. Yeah. I just couldn't remember what his name was, but I do remember seeing
Greg
that.
Cook. Yep.
Yeah.
That was his name. And so that's like I said, like when the Bengals lost, they were 11. I think y'all were 11-3. I think you were 11-3 that season. 2 of the losses were to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was 12-2 that season.
Wow.
So this goes to show you how good. And again, they won the first AFC Central crown in 1970, and they had a good 71 season. And again, I mentioned 74, 75, and they were really good. They fell off a little bit in the late 70s, but they rebounded it. Of course, the 80s, they were great in the 80s.
Yeah.
So as great as Cincinnati was in the 80s, when they should have won that last Super Bowl against the 49ers, y'all actually made me mad about that. Y'all had that game. Again, I'm trying not to make Andre cry again.
Seriously, I cannot look at Joe Montana or Jerry Rice, and there is still a relatively decent sized part of me that hates San Francisco for really no reason.
They did it to y'all twice. See, that's a rare.
Did it twice.
Yeah, they played the same team twice.
So in '81, I was like, I don't know, 5 maybe. I think 4 or 5. Like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
In '89, '90, bruh, that's my wheelhouse, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm thinking as a Cincinnati sports fan, as a teenager, like this is life, right?
Bengals right before
what it must have been like to be a Patriots and
a Boston fan,
right?
Yeah,
right. Because 1990, my football team goes to the Super Bowl, and my baseball team wins a World Series. Like
that's right.
This is what it's supposed to be about. And honestly, that's the reason why I'm on this Zoom call with y'all today. That is when I fell in love with Cincinnati sports, right? Like, yes, I watched them before. Yes, I paid attention and did those type of things. So my pops was a big fan. But that's when I fell in love. And it didn't matter throughout the 90s what the team did. I still watched. I still paid attention. I left the city and went to Atlanta, and there's the Dirty Birds and like all this stuff, and I still be like, well, what my Bengals do? They lost again. Okay, feels about right. You know what I mean? Like, and I still followed and I still paid attention because they captured my imagination at that point, and it's been that way ever since.
Yeah, and I'll say this, man. Like my father-in-law, God rest his soul, John Ballou.
Mm-hmm.
He was he was I mentioned the Wayne like a few like in the February, that Black History moment in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like he played college football, and he represented a lot of the Bearcats, University of Cincinnati Bearcats, represented some Bengals players. He's well known in the city. So anyway, the point is it's like I said, he and his brother, Randy Ballou, who my wife was named after him by the way. They would tell us in field rounds, tell me stories about in the 70s, because I remember the 80s. But he said, Scott, I remember them saying this day, Scott, you thought Cincinnati was great in the 80s. They were great. They were damn good in the 70s, early 70s. It's just that your team got in the way.
Yeah.
That's what he said. That's what they said. Your team got in the way. But yeah, I mean, I would say this, man. There's so many great fans here. I'm not talking about just sports in general. They're great, but this is a Reds town. This is a Reds town through and through, baseball town. But they love their Bengals.
Yes,
I respect them for it. These are diehards here. God bless them all. I just, we talked about ownership earlier with the Reds, so
yeah.
Might as well let the cat out the bag with Mike Brown. When I first moved here in 1999. In my first stint here, this is my second stint here, obviously. One of my guys in the lab at UC, he put me aside and said, Scott, we're talking football one day. He said, Scott, this white guy. He's like, Mike Brown is the most hated man in town. This is 1999. Because this is like in the tail end of them, the taxpayers. I say we now because I pay taxes, but the taxpayers got swindled by Mike Brown when it came to Paul Brown Stadium. Now, I'll let Andre, if you want, you can tell the story, but basically, the taxpayers got their asses kicked. They didn't have to pay they being the Bengals organization, they had to pay a cent. Not anything for this stadium. So we're still paying taxes on it.
Yep.
Years later.
Not only that, he added in monies for improvements that the taxpayers still pay for. Like, so he was like, not only are you gonna build me a stadium, but y'all gonna maintain this joint too.
And he got away with it. Say what you want about his lack of football acumen. He was a damn good businessman.
Genius.
He just won of the city. And you know what the messed up part is, man? I think, and Andre, you could correct me on this. You probably will because you know more about this than I do. I think the lease expires because the city owns the state.
Like 2026, I think.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's about negotiations. Now the negotiations about to come back in. So the question is now, even though you had a little bit of success in the early part of the 2000s, right? Thanks to Marvin Lewis. You had some, didn't win a playoff game, but you had success. So all that being put out there, what the question now is here is what the hell is Mike Brown going to do? Is he going to extort the city again while I count myself as we, because I'm paying taxes on it now. If we are still paying for the bonds of the stadium, are we going to get the asses kicked again? Or where the city council just says, you know what, fuck you, move on. I don't think they're going to do that because I don't think they want to lose the NFL team, no matter what.
No, here's what's going to be the problem in that scenario. I personally believe Joe Burrow is the truth. I personally believe that. I really do.
I agree. He's a stud.
Hey, your boys came into FedEx and almost handed my Washington football team an L until he decided he wanted to be Superman and Chase Young gave him a taste of the goal line. Yeah.
Hey,
I was concerned. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, I get it. But I think Joe Burrow's the truth, and I genuinely believe by the time that lease is up, that dude will be right smack in the middle of his prime. And if he does what I think he can do, which is be a consistent competitor, push for, that AFC championship game, that Super Bowl flirtation, that AFC North championship, like in that general vicinity, and maybe not every year, but be what
Be effective in the division.
be what Ben Roethlisberger was for Pittsburgh for 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always win, but he was there most of the time. The team is always competitive. The team is always there. And I believe that that's the type of quarterback that Joe Burrow can be. If he is that, it's going to be very difficult for people to not want to pay for that to stay.
Right.
And if I am Mike Brown, I got away with it once to make me think I wouldn't get away with it again. Now,
the precedence has already been created.
Right. I'm not saying maybe to the full extent that he did the last time, because I think there will be some sentiment of, all right, man, you got to do a little something, right? But who wants to lose a 28, 27, 28-year-old quarterback who is lighting the world on fire, who is competing for championships, who's doing all of these things and has the way quarterbacks are playing right now, 10, maybe 15 years left in him at that point? Who wants to lose that?
A hometown kid, a home state kid too.
Who wants to lose that? To me, this is the genius of drafting Joe Burrow and having it fall the way that it fell. Dude, we've got a reason for people to want us to stay. Because I can tell you, if that lease was up 2 years ago and Andy Dalton was the quarterback, y'all can ride. Like I'm gonna tell you that. There will be a segment of fans that are gonna be loyal and say, "Hey, that's my team. We can't lose an NFL franchise." Yada yada yada. Blah blah blah. Okay, cool, fine. Let Marvin Lewis be the head coach. Let Andy Dalton be the quarterback. The Cincinnati Bengals would not be in Cincinnati if that lease was up 2 years ago.
So wait a minute. So I have to ask. So are there current discussions going on right now in Cincinnati about the stadium at all?
So I don't think the lease is up, and don't quote me because I can look it up, but I think the lease is up in 2026. So yeah, 2025, 2024, 2026, somewhere in that general vicinity. So we're still a little bit of a ways off to have those discussions. So I haven't personally heard anything on the front burner of, hey, what are we doing about this lease?
See, it's funny because the lease at FedEx is over around the same time. We're in year 5, year 6 in discussion here about where the stadium's going to be. There's still discussion on whether or not it's going to be in Virginia, DC, or Maryland. The whole thing of, oh my God, now the name is shunned upon. We don't want to have it in DC unless they change the name. Now the name has been, it's probably going to be changed. I won't believe it till I see it.
So y'all gonna just beat a football team?
Dude. Oh, so you didn't hear about the list? So last week,
get a load of this.
A list of 32 names were sent out to season ticket holders to kind of get a gauge on what they think the name should be. Now,
my personal choice is Red Tails. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I got a beef about Red Tails. Personal, nothing against the Red Tails themselves. I get the historic aspect. It's just the whole, I got that childhood schoolyard mentality of, we done kicked them tails. I can't have it. Not on my watch. Especially with the amount of Dallas Cowboy fans that live here in this region. I can't. But I would love if it was something other than tails related, but it dealt with the Red Tails, I'm with it. But anything with tail, anything with dog or wolf, anything that has a sad cry from that animal. I don't want nothing to do with that. But that's another situation for another. I just got that mentality. I can't have it. But they sent out the list, but portions of the list to their season ticket base, right? And I guess they're trying to get a gauge of what the name should be. From that selection, they're going to narrow down that list. And then I guess from there, I think they might do a poll or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting what they're going to do with the name. But yeah, like I said, I won't believe it until I see it, especially now that Daniel Snyder has 100% ownership of the team. I don't know what this Bama might do to swerve the whole thing. Ha, we had you. Now FedEx involved. I'm going to go ahead and change the name back. I don't know. Anything can happen. I don't trust anything at this point. When it happens, it finally happens. But yeah, two of the names that were involved was like DCFC, DC Football Club, and 32 FC, which is, of course, they were founded in 1932, Football Club. Yeah, so those are two names that are on the list, Andre. Those are two of the 32. My God, Griffins is one of the names. I'm like, okay, yes, you're talking about the mystical creature. I get it, but you're spelling it Griffins. You're reminding me of Brittle Bob, who was here, who I don't want a reminder of. Why are you doing this? You couldn't spell Griffin with a Y. But this is what no, we were talking about the Bengals. Let me get back on the Bengals. The reason why I say that all of this is crazy is because, or why I find it so interesting is, yeah, we're in like year 5 of this discussion of where the stadium needs to be. And they still have like a whole nother 5-6 years left on this current lease. There's some that believe they may break the lease. Who knows? But yeah, we're already deeply entrenched in it. And you guys aren't even having a conversation.
No.
I'm like, dude.
We're too busy in Cincinnati getting city councilman indicted for money laundering schemes. So we can't talk about stadium. So.
Oh, my God.
Got other priorities right now.
But yeah, I'm like, dude,
that's another podcast right there.
Oh, yeah, it is. I went on that because it's some about Midwest political scandals that I find highly interesting. But I'm like, dude, what world is this where we can just talk about other stuff other than where the stadium needs to go? Dude, oh my God. And y'all not even necessarily making provisions to set it up for what they need to do in order to have it in certain areas. Yeah, I just get tired. I get tired of the conversation, and I've had that conversation multiple times. Where you think the new stadium going to be, dude? Don't nobody know, because ain't nobody to make. Oh my God! But
talk about exhausting. Talk about being exhausted.
Right.
Exhausting.
I'm just a fan of 2 of the sports teams here. Oh my God! But they're the 2 most exhausting. Well, right. But I take that back. No one really cares about the Wizards anymore because they ain't won since I was 2. So but the hockey team
change it back to the Bullets.
Well,
change the name back to the Bullets. Damn it!
Dude, they keep flirting with it, but
change the name back to the Bullets. No one gets scared about the Wizards. I mean, what are they? The dancing Goldoffs? No one cares about them. Bring the Bullets, man. Bring the Bullets back.
You and I both feel that same way, but they put their feet on that. They're real sluggish on that, and I wish that Ted Leonsis would be listening to us right now, but yeah, he's real sluggish on that. Even when they went back to the whole red, white, and blue thing, it was like, dude, stop playing. Just change the name back to the Bullets. We're right here. We're right here. You change the name back to the color back. We're right here. Just change the name. Stop playing. Oh my God.
Well, let me before Dwayne gets even sadder and starts crying on air. Oh
no, I ain't gonna cry.
I ain't gonna cry no more.
Everybody want to talk about me and they see me cry. Oh no, I'll never hit into that.
Let me. Okay, and you'll appreciate this, Dwayne. You being a helmet and in uniform aficionado, Andre. Has there been any discussion, speaking of uniforms, like a throwback? Most of the teams have throwbacks. Has there been discussion of the Bengals having a game or two with the Bengals helmet, the Bengal name on the helmet throwback? That would be cool. I think that would be pretty cool.
So throwback game. There's a person Elizabeth Blackburn, so you've got Mike Brown,
Mhm.
everybody knows, right? You've got Katie Blackburn, which is his daughter.
Okay.
And you have Elizabeth Blackburn, which is her daughter.
Hmm.
Now, Elizabeth is now in charge of like fan engagement and something else. I can't remember exactly what her what her title is, but she got involved pretty heavily in the redesign of these jerseys.
Hmm.
And NFL rules stipulate that you can only have a maximum of 4 jerseys, right?
Yeah.
So what they did was they took the opportunity to change the main 3 this year, showcase those really, from a merchandising standpoint, right? Let's get these out. Let's get people buying them. Let's do all of that stuff. She didn't say that, but let's be honest, that's what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So we got a white one, we got an orange one, we got a black one. Let's get all of these, as many Joe Burrow jerseys as we can get in the stands. But there's still a 4th option that is open because they've gotten rid of all the other ones. What was the color rush, which was the 4th jersey, is now just basically the all white jersey, right?
Yeah.
So it's now open that they can have a 4th jersey, and she hinted that could be the opportunity to throw in a throwback jersey. So now let's roll with these 3, and maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, and then we develop with Nike what that 4th throwback jersey looks like, and then we got a whole other set of jerseys that we can sell again, right?
Yeah.
So I do believe that there is a throwback plan in place, but the 2 things are, 1, they wanted to do just these 3 to put those out there, and 2, the NFL rules surrounding only allowing 1 helmet per team.
Yes, 1 helmet and like 4 unis. Yeah.
Yes. So if you can only have 1 helmet, you either got to be Bengals the whole time or you got to be Stripes the whole time. So that's kind of the issue with not having the Bengals and the throwback jersey already.
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I agree.
NFL loosens that up because those are iconic.
Yeah.
Those are iconic jerseys.
I mean, I'll tell you this, man. I really believe that the striped helmet is iconic at this point.
It is. Oh yeah,
it is. It's
the
highly
80s, since the
iconic.
early '80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
The early 80s,
There is no other helmet like from a depiction standpoint. Most of them have words or some sort of symbol or a letter. You know, Baltimore with the B and the shield and like all that stuff, or the Pittsburgh Steelers with the diamonds in it. Like to see that striped helmet and immediately be like, oh, that's the Bengals. Oh, that like I love that about their uniform and that look. I would absolutely adore a white with black stripes. If the NFL ever went to like allowing an alternate, so you do like all white with black stripes on it, like whoo, that's clean. But if we gotta stick with 1, orange with black stripes, I'm good.
But 2 things real quick, right? 1, you're absolutely right about that helmet being iconic because whenever you see anyone else do it, be it collegiate level, high school level, you know exactly where they got it from.
Yeah, yep. Memphis Tigers.
As a matter of fact, my high school, who's a Tiger, does the whole Bengal tiger stripe thing now, but it's white and green. I digress about how that looks and how it makes me feel, but it's still cool, right?
Right.
Number 2, it's a concept that I truly believe that Morehouse could probably try to do with a white and maroon stripe, but I digress. Since I'm not the designer, and they don't want to, but hey, I'm throwing that out there for them to go ahead and think about. But I digress, But matter of fact, didn't they try it once? It just didn't go over well.
I don't remember.
Check it again, but
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna remember. But
I'll say it's something that if they did do, that I think they should try at least to reapproach and do it a little bit better. But yeah, it's something that could be done. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you with the white Bengal. Yeah. Oh, they did the white helmet with the all white unis.
That would be nice. I agree with that. That's clean. That's clean. That's real, especially with the white jerseys.
Yeah.
Those would be clean. Straight clean.
With the white Bengal.
Yeah, man. it still might be. Who knows? It still might be in a pipeline. We don't know.
I mean, again, it's more so the NFL rule than anything else, right? If they, I mean, heck, look at the numbers changes that they just made this year. Allowing certain positions to go into the single digits, which they didn't do before. It's something that, hey, enough teams are like, hey, man, we can push more merchandise. Hey, we can sell more whatevers. Can we get 2 helmets? Can we get 3 helmets? Like, whatever it is. Like, nobody really cares. Cool, yeah, let's do it. You can change the color scheme. You can't change the design. Fine. Okay. That falls right in line with what the Bengals want to do. I don't want to change the design. The design is perfect. Just give me a color change or a color alternate. Okay, we'll allow that. And then on your throwback, you can go back to whatever you had before. All right, cool. And then give me the Bengals written on the side of the helmet and let's roll.
I'll say this though, Andre. The helmet thing is if memory serves me, has to deal more with safety reasons. Yeah, but I'm still trying to figure out why it wasn't an issue 3 years ago, but now it is. I digress. Now you're concerned about safety. Okay, all right. But my second statement is that my guess is that they were so afraid of the backlash that they received from the color rush stuff, because it was from the colorblind person that said they couldn't understand what was going on with that Bills Jets game.
Yeah,
because of course it all looked great.
Yes,
I get it. And so they that and then red the fans having such a response, and then of course the mustard ketchup game between the Bucks and the Rams that one time, and then the hideous all gold unis they were going to do with Washington that never really came out.
Thank God.
All that stuff. Oh yeah. That was going to be the color rush thing until they went with the all burgundy, which everyone was already a fan of that they did years ago anyway. But yeah, they received such a backlash from the color rush stuff. I guess that's one of the reasons why they decided to go a different direction with it, if they're still even calling it that.
The crazy thing about the color rush for the Bengals, it was wildly popular.
Yeah.
I mean, like, wildly popular. Most highest selling version of jersey that they had, period.
Wow.
And they actually used it as the inspiration for the design of these new jerseys.
I was about to ask you that.
As I'm saying, it worked with some teams, but there were a lot of teams people were like, ew. Like I'm still like I like the neon as an accent that they use for the Seahawks.
Seattle. I knew you were Seattle.
The whole neon uni for Seattle. I'm like, ugh. So it works in some spots. In other spots, it was just hideous.
Remember the old Jaguars gold color rush with those hideous gold? They played the Titans was it Sunday night? No, Thursday night. When the Titans it was all light blue versus that mustard shitty vomit looking gold that they were wearing. That was pretty bad. Well, let's go at the biggest right quick. The draft. The draft is 2 weeks. No, next week.
Next week. Next Thursday, baby.
So, okay. I
don't care what you think, Scott.
I know, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. I think that you guys need to speaking of your stud, you need to protect your stud. Get offensive linemen. It's rich in offensive linemen. Protect them. I don't care. Protect them. Protect him. He's a great. You don't want another great cook in your hands.
The draft is 7 rounds long. Okay, 7. We will get there. Give me a minute. Hashtag Team Chase, baby. Let's go. Team Chase, let's go. Can you imagine
Chase
your
Lamar.
Pittsburgh Steelers? God, I hate saying that word. Okay, can you imagine your Pittsburgh Steelers looking out on from their defensive positions, right?
Yeah.
Who we got to mark up against? Let me look at this. Okay, we got Tyler Boyd in the slot. We got him. Cool. We got T. Higgins on the outside. Okay, cool. We got, oh my God, is that Jamar Chase? Okay, that's Jamar Chase. Is that Joe Mixon in the backfield and Joe Burrow taking the ball? Good luck.
I get it.
That's all I'm saying.
And the draft is rich offensive linemen. You probably could get away with getting offensive linemen in the second, third, and fourth rounds. I get it.
I don't know. I saw a meme that made me laugh that, of course, talked about the Bengals. And the first part of the meme was like stick figure of Joe Burrow with an old lineman blocking for him. It said Joe Burrow, first round draft pick old lineman, any receiver. And the receiver's like wide open catching the pass. The second part of it is Joe Burrow, any old lineman, and the D lineman is like blitzing past him, the sack Burrow, and Jamar Chase is like wide open, but the ball don't even make it to him. So of course, Burrow gets blitzed. And I'm like, that kind of makes sense, dog.
Okay. But look,
I understand the theory.
Here's the thing. My counter to that, if you will, is the Bengals lack explosiveness.
Yeah.
At the wide receiver position. Right?
Yeah.
Good point.
Tyler Boyd is fantastic as a slot receiver, but he ain't blowing anybody off the line. Right?
No.
T. Higgins, amazing receiver. Like
he's gonna be good.
The DeAndre Hopkins type of mode. I'm not calling him DeAndre Hopkins. I'm saying in a DeAndre Hopkins type mode. Giant catch radius, runs solid routes, very good at contested catches, that's body control, all of those things that you absolutely need. There is nobody from a speed perspective that scares the defense, that can take the top off the defense. If there is one weakness that Joe Burrow had last year, it was connecting on the deep ball. Having somebody who he could rely upon, like AJ Green. I love me some AJ. Probably one of my all-time favorite players to ever don the stripes. AJ Green couldn't run past me.
No, he couldn't.
Okay? I mean, that's just being real.
Yeah.
My man just wasn't who that team needed him to be. I'm not saying he still can't be productive, but I needed sub 4.4, 4.2 AJ, and I was getting 4.6 AJ. Yeah, that's not the AJ I need. That's not the wide receiver this team needs, because I already got 4.5, 4.6 T. Higgins. I already got 4.5, 4.6 Tyler Boyd. I need 4.4 Jamar Chase. And the difference between having receivers that can get open and really stress the defense, now you can't send that extra blitzer. You can't just say, okay, you guys can blanket these guys. It's going to give us an extra half a second, an extra second and a half to get to Joe Burrow. Now we got a dude who's open immediately. That also relieves the stress off of Joe Burrow and gives him more time, right? So I think there are multiple ways to skin the cat, for lack of a better euphemism to use, right? Yes. Do I believe the Bengals need to address the offensive line? Without question. They are not going through a 7-round draft and not drafting offensive linemen. That's not happening.
Especially the draft as deep as this.
Sure. But what people have to know and understand and realize is that there's more than one round to the draft. You cannot, even if you drafted Penei Sewell, that doesn't fix every need that you have on the offensive line. You still need depth. Riley Reif is going to be an awesome right tackle. He's also 32 years old. And the first time he steps on that field and tweaks an ankle, who the hell is playing right tackle? I don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So it becomes a matter of, not only do you need to have somebody who could compete at right guard to start, but if you take a tackle of the future in the second round, move him into right guard, that way he's getting that playing time. Think of, I know you guys are not necessarily Bengals fans, but think of a dude like Andrew Whitworth, right?
Yes. Whitworth, yeah.
Right, yeah. Second round draft pick out of LSU. Started at left guard his rookie year. They moved him out to tackle, and that dude might be a Hall of Famer. Like, he's on the cusp of Hall of Fame recognition, right? Second best left tackle to ever play for the Bengals organization, right behind us.
Wow, yeah.
The great Munoz.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that can happen. That's what I'm looking for in the second round. I'm looking for that tackle that can play guard this year. Let's say Riley Reef has a bang up year and you decide to sign him for another couple years. Okay, cool. That's fine. You still let that young boy get in there, learn this craft, learn the position. Or Riley Reef comes in, plays for that 1 year, says, hey, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Love your time. Great. You slide the young boy out to right tackle and we say, let's go.
Yeah.
And if you believe and trust the experts, I'm not one, but if you believe and trust the experts who look at the draft and evaluate players in this draft, the amount of offensive linemen that will be available in rounds 2 through 4, there are players that you can plug and play from day 1 in rounds 2 through 4. You don't necessarily have that same deal
at the wide out spot. Yeah.
Right. So go get me that top wide receiver who is also going to help the offensive line situation because the defense is going to have less time. And then follow up with a second and a fourth, a second and a third. I don't know. If you want to go back to back, I'm cool with that, right? Give me a second and a third. Give me a second and a fourth of dudes who can come in, compete for a starting job today, but really projecting towards that future next year.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I really like Burrow. I've made no bones about it. I really like this. I really like Burrow. I mean, before he got hurt, he was balling.
Yeah.
It's just bad luck against the Eagles when they gave away a win and tied stuff for a tie. And of course, what happened in Washington that day when they had the lead before he got hurt.
I don't like to see people get hurt, but man, if we didn't needed that one in that situation,
you're welcome.
So there you go. I would say this, man.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Dwayne. I promise this is the last thing I'll turn over.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
But in regards to Ring of Honor, you're finally getting the Ring of Honor. I mean, Anthony Munoz, Paul Brown, obviously the first two, the only two Hall of Famers.
Wait a minute. The Bengals don't have a Ring of Honor? Oh my God! Wow.
I know until now. And I don't know, maybe.
So there's a reason. There's a reason.
Go ahead.
Okay.
The reason is that Paul and Mike Brown always believe that football is the ultimate team sport.
Gotcha. Okay.
And to honor individuals would be a discredit to the other people who help to make that person who they are, right?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
So, Anthony Munoz playing left tackle was the greatest left tackle to ever play football by many people's estimation. But his left guard had to be pretty damn good
in order to make him,
right? In order for him to be that dominant. So that's the caveat that they always ran with. You look at Ocho Cinco, right, or Chad Johnson, one of the greatest wide receivers, has a ton of team records, but he's no good without Carson Palmer throwing him the ball.
Right? Or TJ Houshmandzadeh taking pressure.
Or TJ drawing attention away from him, or any other number of players. So again, the idea and the philosophy was it's the ultimate team sport. Why are we recognizing individuals and not acknowledging that they're part of a team?
Yeah.
Which conceptually I get, but the shift in mindset, and some of this again, I will give a lot of props to Elizabeth Blackburn. I think she has some really good ideas, and she's really making this franchise turn in a direction that I think will make us proud to be Bengals fans.
Sure.
She helped the conversation become, why can't the people in the Ring of Honor be a team, right?
Wow.
So it's not just an individual that we are honoring. We're honoring all of these folks who are in, and we just keep adding pieces to this team on a annual, biannual, 5-year, whatever it is, basis to build what we see as the ultimate team here for this franchise. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And which leads me to this. I mean, you also had the many legendary Bengals players. We all know that. I think the way any casual football fan would know, like the Ken Rileys.
Yes.
Rattler. These are the Rattler. Yeah, FAMU. Yeah, FAMU
needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Egregious.
Thank you. Why on Ken Riley and the other Ken Anderson?
Yeah.
Two guys with Hall of Fame worthy numbers.
Put them in there.
Why aren't they in the Hall of Fame? I mean, Ken Riley has more interceptions than Dick LeBeau, who's a great player himself.
Yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame, but Ken Riley's not. Is this the city curse? What's going on here?
It's that finger.
It's 100%. It's 100% that, and it's the lack of respect for the organization and its place in the NFL pantheon, right? You how about talk about disrespect? Every year for the Hall of Fame inductions, they do a posthumous, for who passed this year since our last, right? Unfortunately, we lost Ken Riley this past year.
Yeah.
When they did the tribute, Ken Riley did not appear in that video. Wow. There was no tribute to the passing of a man who had 65 interceptions in his career. There was nothing about him.
Now I'm mad I missed that. Because, I would have been hot about that. Yeah.
Oh, look, Bengals Twitter was on fire.
As they should have been.
How could you do that? Like, you got to imagine there's a system, right? So there's Rick in the history conference room, and he's like, okay, I got to call 32 teams and figure out anybody that used to play for them past, right? Okay, so, hey, Chicago, you got anybody? Okay. Hey, Dallas, you got anybody? Okay. Hey, Bengals, you got anybody? Yeah, Ken Riley. Okay, cool. And for whatever reason, Rick just didn't write down Ken Riley's name? Like, how does that even happen?
Yeah. Dog, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't.
We're running through cats who I've never heard of before because at one time they had a cup of coffee in the NFL game. Yeah. I get it. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be recognized, but Ken Riley is literally one of the most egregious snubs from the Hall of Fame that you can have. And then you double down on it by not even mentioning when the dude dies.
Yeah.
He was a 3-time All-Pro, fellas.
Yeah.
65 interceptions. You mentioned earlier, Andre, he had 5 return for touchdowns.
He's
not in the Hall of Fame, but he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Bad man.
He's easily in my top 5 Hall of Fame snubs, easily.
And there's Ken Anderson. Ken Anderson, he thrived in the West Coast offense. And I know, again, don't want to make Andre cry. Bill Walsh worked for Paul Brown.
Yeah.
He worked for Paul Brown. So basically, 49ers fans, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But check this out.
I think he decided to go with Bill Tiger Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of
yeah. Again, I don't want to make you cry.
That was probably the biggest mistake ever. God.
But check this out about Kenny Anderson, 4-time Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro in '81. That was his MVP season. Also in '81. Offensive Player of the Year, same year. Led the league in passing for 2 years. Passer rating leader 4 times his career. Completion percentage leader 3 times in his career. Over 32,000 passing yards, passer rating 81.9, 197 touchdowns, 160 interceptions. Yeah, I mean, he's been a finalist
in an era where it did not lend itself to the passing game.
No,
that's right.
Right? Like, we're not talking Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers era. We're talking where dudes could put hands on wide receivers and pull them down to the ground.
Yeah.
Right? We're not talking about the times of protection for the quarterback where you sneeze on a dude and you get a 15-yard penalty. There's a video of a dude grabbing Ken Anderson's face mask, and the front of his helmet is back here.
Yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay? That's the era I'm talking about. And that dude was ridiculous thin.
I got a question. I mean, I already know the answer to this question, but I just find it interesting, right? In a team sport, right? When we're talking about a Hall of Fame that deals with individual achievement, we're talking about a guy who led the league in several statistical categories throughout his career and was also a league MVP who is not in the Hall of Fame, but there's a groundswell for a gentleman. I'm not going to say his name. All I'm going to say is he's in the family business and won 2 Super Bowls and won 2 Super Bowl MVPs, but has never led the league in any individual statistical category of positive note. He led it in interceptions. But he never led it in passing yards or passing touchdowns or whatever.
He beat Tom Brady. That's why he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Exactly. But But like I said, I know what the answer is, but I digress. Dude. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't.
It is what it is.
I don't.
I mean, also keep in mind, although it's from a different era as well.
Yeah.
Joe Namath completed less than 50% of his passes for his career.
Yeah.
Had more interceptions than touchdowns in his career.
Yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
But see, the thing is,
because of Super Bowl 3. Yeah.
Yes, almost definitely, right? Because I was going to say
the
most important. Yeah, here you go. The most important thing, I guess, in some instances, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, especially, is the fame aspect, not the football aspect, but the fame aspect. And most definitely, Joe Namath is famous.
Yes.
Right. Eli Manning. Oh God, I said his name. I wasn't supposed to say his name. My God. But he comes from a famous family, and he beat a famous person.
Twice.
Well, I say he because he was on that team, even though he wasn't on that defensive line that gave Tom Brady fits. Right. If we don't have that, he doesn't. Oh my God! On a team that has 2 of the top 5 or the lowest 5 scoring totals for a winning team ever in the Super Bowl history. Yep. But yet this Bama belongs to the Hall of Fame. I digress. Like I said, I could do a whole podcast on why that Bama don't belong in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, it is what it is. But I was going to say real quick, first and foremost, shout out to AJ Green. AJ, I'm about to go ahead and history drop real quick. Watch your feet. AJ is from the same neighborhood that I lived in when I moved to the Summerville, South Carolina area. Okay. He was about maybe like 6 or 7 when I moved there, so he was like a real youngin' when I moved there. And then when I moved away, and I heard that this dude from Summerville, South Carolina, I said, "Oh wow, Summerville ain't that big." He probably, and he was from around the way. So I've always had my eye on AJ and rooted for him and wished the best for him. So I can see why he's probably one of your favorite Bengals all time. Shout out to him. And I guess I already have the answer to my first question, which is going to be, Andre, do you trust your front office enough to make a good enough selection for the offensive line in rounds 2 through 4? You've already answered that question. The second question is, what do you think about Thaddeus Moss coming to Cincinnati?
Let me touch on the first question.
Okay.
Do I trust them rounds 2 through 4 to find an appropriate offensive lineman? I don't know. Do I trust them round 1 to find an appropriate offensive lineman? I Let's take a look, shall we? Anyone? Anyone at all? Anybody? Billy Price. Anybody? Anyone at all? Want to take Billy Price off my hands? Anybody? No? Okay. I didn't think so. It's cool. I mean, second through fourth, just as good as first to me.
Oh my God.
Just saying, like, I don't know, man. So wait, the one good thing I will say from a Bengals offensive line standpoint, they made the very intelligent decision of bringing back Frank Pollock. I'm a big believer in coaching in specific positions, especially offensive line, being a benefit, right? Of having a really, really good coach in that specific position. Offensive line coach is one of those positions that if you have somebody who has a great scheme, who can teach great technique, and is a communicator that allows the players to absorb the information that he has and then is able to replicate that out on the field, that's huge. The dude that they had before, Jim Turner, was hot garbage. I'm just telling you, the dude was hot garbage. Not only was he not a good coach, I don't believe he was a good person.
Wow.
Like he's the dude that got caught up in the bullying scandal with Richie Incognito and like that whole mess that was going on down in Miami. He just wasn't a good dude, man. And on top of that, his offensive line, they just stunk. Whereas you go back 2 years where Frank Pollock was the coach and you didn't have a great offensive line. You had a decent offensive line. Joe Mixon ran for 1,400 yards or whatever the hell it was. And so there is something to be said for bringing in / bringing back a coach that you believe in and who knows what they're doing. So I do believe that will carry things farther than just, oh, it's a second round pick, oh, it's a third round pick, whatever, whoever that person may be. So take that for what it is. But I think Frank Pollock adds an element that they didn't have the previous 2 years.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
One, if he's healthy, which by all accounts he is at this point, I think it adds a nice player to a tight end room that could use a nice player. I'm not doing cartwheels. I'm not doing backflips. I mean, the man went undrafted for a reason, right? I think he probably has added value coming to Cincinnati versus any other team because of his relationship with Joe Burrow, right? And because a lot of the times in that LSU offense, he was Joe Burrow's safety net, where he may not be, Josh Allen's safety net. He may not be Aaron Rodgers' safety net. He may not be Lamar Jackson's safety net. But here in Cincinnati, he could be Joe Burrow's safety net because that's what he was before, right? So I think he gets a bit of a bump here in Cincy versus anywhere else he could be. He's a good blocker. He's got decent hands. He can run decent enough routes. He's not a amazing athlete by athletes' standards, but I think if you can add him to the tight end room, it's a piece that you can utilize. It's a piece that you can develop. And if there's anything that from a long-term perspective, you're trying to get, the ultimate goal of the Bengals right now is to get Joe Burrow to sign that second contract, right?
Yes. Correct.
We want to win. And if Joe Burrow is who we all think that he is, I want him to be here long-term. So what's a really good way to get Joe Burrow to want to stay here? Draft Jamar Chase, sign Moss, get him with some of his boys that he feels comfortable with, that he thinks he can be successful with, and let's ride.
There you go. There you go. Now, as much as I'd like to laugh at and insult fame whores, I was kind of a fame whore for Thaddeus Moss myself when he was here in DC. I wanted things to work out because of who his daddy was. I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, I mean, he had some production in LSU, but yeah, I wanted things to work out because of who his daddy was.
Yes.
Unfortunately, never did. He couldn't stay healthy, couldn't get on the field, and they ended up letting him go. But I'm just glad that he got someplace where it may actually work out.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie to you. When they pan in the stands at Paul Brown Stadium in the jungle, and Randy Moss is wearing the Bengals jersey, I'm gonna be geeking out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I might make a custom jersey that says 81 with Moss on the back. I don't know.
Oh man, I don't know. So we covered the 5 and the 3 on your T-shirt, Dre. So we're gonna cover the 1. What the hell is going on in your basketball program?
Ooh.
Man,
what the hell is going on in your basketball program?
Okay. So John Brandon was the coach. He coached at NKU.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
First year he came in with a bunch of basically just Mick Cronin's old squad with a couple of folks that he added from a recruiting perspective, right? I knew that there was something off, and I'm not saying I always knew that John Brandon wasn't the right fit. I had no idea. Not a clue, right? But hindsight being 2020, you got Jaron Cumberland, who is one of the all-time, top 10 to 15 players to play for this program.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, y'all two can't get on the same page. Like, Jaron don't really like you. You don't really like Jaron. That's a problem. Like, I get trying to come in and establish your program, establish your culture. Hey, I'm not Mick. This is what we do, and I'm the coach. Okay, I get that. I understand that. But I'm the star player, and this is what I do well. Well, you can either force a square peg into a round hole, or you can say, for a year, let's figure out how to make this work.
Mm.
And for the longest time, Brandon tried to stuff a square peg into a round hole. So that was red flag, if you will, pink flag, if you will, number 1. Like, something ain't right. I don't know what it is, but it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, maybe Jaron is just being a punk because I'm the man. Yep, probably a little bit of that. But also, Brandon, this is the talent you have to work with. You're not bringing in anybody else, and ain't nobody on this team better than that dude. So figure out a way to make it work. Cool. So that was kind of like, something ain't right. Then this year 2 rolls along. He brings in some really nice recruits. You're like, okay, this is, yeah, let's go. And then, of course, COVID hits. And that throws everything out of whack. And from what I can glean and from what I've been told, basically it was dorm, practice, dorm. There wasn't enough, there wasn't a lot of interaction between the coaching staff and especially John Brandon and the players. There wasn't any sensibility, if you will, towards players' thoughts and feelings. Which, I mean, let me go back to my freshman year at Morehouse, right? I'm 475 miles away from home. I've never been away from home before.
Yeah.
Not for that kind of extended period. Yeah, you go a week, 2 weeks, whatever, but like months on end. So I show up in August and I'm not going home until Thanksgiving, right? I'm missing my people. I'm missing, girlfriends that I had back at the crib that I could call up anytime, but like, hey, let's go catch a movie, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, your whole world is flipped upside down, right?
Yeah.
And throw on top of that you can't really interact with people. You can't go to parties. You can't go to dances. You can't go to the club. You can't go out and have an underage beverage with one of your homeboys who got a fake ID. Like none of those things are happening that would normally happen. And now I got this kind of a dick coach who is pushing me super hard in practice, and maybe the medical people had to step in once or twice and be like, John, yo, these kids need a break, son. I'm not saying he did anything that was egregious and putting the kids in the hospital and needing IVs and all that, but you're just pushing it a little too far. Chill out. Cool. And now, like, the only people I ever talk to as a basketball player and as a student athlete are my other teammates. And I'm like, yo, Dwayne, this dude getting on my damn nerves. You ain't lying. Scott, what you think? Yeah, man. I'm not. Doesn't mean, man, we out of here. I'm like, yeah, we out of here. D, you in with us if we leave? Yeah. That dude, man. Yeah, right? And you can just see at 18, 19, 20 years old, we about to be out this. and that's exactly what happened. The season ended, and 6 dudes were like, out.
Wow.
Which was completely unexpected because I think they finished the season like winning 9 of 13 games and made it to the conference finals.
Yeah, against Houston.
Wow.
Tournament.
Yeah.
Right? They're in the finals playing for a shot at the NCAA when they don't even have the record to be in the NCAA. But we got a shot at making the dance if we can somehow figure out a way to win this game. They didn't. Cool. But that's what I'm saying. That's where we were. So they the time, the effort, all this stuff. And they were just biding their time. Like, look here, nobody is going to deny us a spot on another team by saying we didn't work hard, right? So I'm still concerned about my future. I'm just not going to do it. Or at least I'm not going to do it here with him.
Yeah.
So they played hard. They did what they were supposed to do. They kept the nose to the grindstone. And when it came down to it and the season was over, we out. 6 players, transfer portal.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Deuces.
6. Damn. That's
say this. And at least they waited till the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because if it was very tumultuous, they would have been like, yo, we falling off come February. Everybody just slowly dipping out. And I've seen situations like that. Duke. But yeah, it is interesting whenever you see a bunch of guys from one program and the head coach is still there. And there was the head coach that was probably there the year prior. It's not a new head coach. And a bunch of guys decided, yo, we out.
Not only that, D. Most of them were freshmen.
I was about to say that.
These are his recruits.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a bunch of Cronin dudes who were like, I'm out. That's understandable, right?
That's understandable.
A year left of eligibility. I didn't come here to play for you or to play in this system. I came here to play for Mick. I'm gone. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
These are dudes that he went into their homes and he went into and talked to their parents and said, I'm going to take care of your kid and get you to come to UC. Those are the cats that are like, nah, I'm out.
It's crazy.
To me, that's what really drove it home to the administration that something's not right. I don't know what it is, and I don't have enough insight to tell you that John Brandon is this dude or that dude or the other dude. The things that I've heard and the things that people have told me is that John Brandon is a good coach. John Brandon is a relatively good dude. John Brandon's a little bit of a dick. John Brandon is concerned about winning basketball games more than he is concerned about the emotional well-being of his players and building those relationships with those players. I know plenty of coaches just like John Brandon, right? It's about winning.
Yeah.
It's about the program. It's not a touch. I'm not a touchy-feely kind of dude, be all up in your feels type of cat. But and normally that would be okay because those players would have other outlets.
Outlets, yeah.
Right? I can go to this and that party. I can hang out with my chick. I can hang out with my homeboys. All these things that I could do. And now it's just the only time I get out of my room is to go get berated by my coach.
Yeah.
And there has to be, you have to be self-aware enough to understand that you can't be that way right now. You have to reach out to a freshman from Cincinnati who is in Atlanta and away from his parents and away from his siblings and away from his girl. And
yeah,
there's something I can do for you, right? Let's make this connection. Let me make sure that you are comfortable where you are to the best of my ability within the restraints that we have. And from what I can gather, that wasn't John Brandon, and that's what really got him in trouble.
So what do you think about Wes Miller, who's a Carolina guy, who's actually was considered for the UNC job as well, but he comes from UNC Greensboro, which the last 5 years had a winning record, led him to the tournament twice. One of which, like the conference, I guess I forgot the SoCon conference. They had Wolford balling out. One year they had Wolford, they had UNCG, they had, I think Furman was balling out. So he comes from that background. So what do you think about Wes Miller being your new head coach?
So first reaction was, who?
Yeah.
Because everything I had heard up to that point was Eric Martin.
Right.
He played under Huggins back in '92.
Coached under him too.
And that he was going to bring with him Nick Van Exel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like that, everybody was like, if it's one thing that'll galvanize the fan base and get everybody just like, I don't know if Eric Martin can coach. I have no idea. Because he's not the number 2 dude at West Virginia. He's the number 3 dude at West Virginia.
I know that.
But I have no idea if that dude can coach. Like, he's not even an associate head coach. But you drop Eric Martin's name, and good Lord, you tell me Nick Van Exel's
coming with him. Yeah.
Come on. Let's get it. Let's make it happen, right? So the prospect and the idea, and I'm talking like for 2 or 3 days before the announcement, it was like, oh, Eric Martin's got a second interview. Oh, I'm being told that Eric Martin is in negotiations on the contract. Oh, Eric Martin, it looks like he's trying to bring Nick Van Exel with him, and like all the signs were pointing towards Eric Martin and Nick Van Exel. So when the announcement came out of, it's going to be this cat named Wes Miller, I was like, what? And I think that was the entire fan base for those who aren't just college basketball fans in general. Right. So you may know that name if you're a college basketball fan in general, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're mostly just focused on UC, who?
Yeah.
Then got to start doing a little research, do a little Google, figuring out who is this cat, where's he from, what did he do? Oh crap, he was considered for the UNC job when Roy Williams went away. Okay, that tells me something, right? Well, he's coming from this little podunk school that I don't really know. Well, wait a minute, that podunk school has made the NCAA tournament twice in the last 5 years. He's got 5 consecutive 20-win seasons. Okay. All right. You're telling me something. You go back and you listen to press conferences where Roy Williams has talked about Wes Miller, and you're like, whoa, like this cat's impressive.
Yeah.
Then you find out he's 38 years old and has been a head coach for 10 years. And he took over a program that was in shambles 10 years ago and turned it into a perennial contender within its conference. right? And not only just within his conference, but then to be able to go out and compete on the big stage. So you take a cat who's willing to work hard to rebuild a program. What does UC right now? What does UC need right now the most? Rebuilding. Yeah. We got 4 scholarship players. 4.
Wow.
That's it. Who are committed to the program when he took over. Now he just added a dude who's transferring from Clemson, not transfer. He's in the portal from Clemson and is going to pay his last year or 2 here. Fine.
Okay.
But still, when he walked on campus, he had 4 dudes who were committed to playing for the Bearcats next year. So I don't even got enough people to field a basketball team.
A team, yeah.
A game. We can't even play a game right now. So if there's one thing this program needs, it's rebuilding. And so you can show me a dude who has the experience of rebuilding a program and putting a program where it needs to be and getting it to where we expect it to be and where we want it to be. He's young. He's hungry. UC has this stigma of being a stepping stone institution, right? Like you come to UC and then you go to Notre Dame. Then you go to Tennessee, then you go to Michigan State, then you go to UCLA. You know what? If Wes Miller in 4 or 5 years has the opportunity to leave here and go coach the Tar Heels, it's because he did one hell of a job at UC.
Yeah.
Right? And that means the program is in a better place than what he found it 4 or 5 years ago at that point.
Right.
Right. And I'm okay with that. Everybody wants that coach who's going to coach for 20 years in the same institution and do whatever. Give me the coach that works his ass off, that can push the program to places that make other people want to be here because you went off and took the opportunity elsewhere. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Bearcat. Like I didn't go to school there. I'm a Bearcat. That's who I root for. Those are my people. That's my team. That's my squad. That's my school. And so it doesn't matter to me who's coaching the team. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter to me who the quarterback is or who the point guard is or any of that. Is the program successful? If the program is successful, cool.
Yeah, well said. One last thing about your beloved Bearcats. You mentioned that you alluded to as far as the stepping stone, Luke Fickell. He's an Ohio State guy. He's done one hell of a job with your Bearcats, man. Woo! One hell of a job. Y'all, I don't want to bring this up again. Again, I don't want to make you cry. You'll probably roll your eyes. But y'all got fucked over in the, I'll come out and say, y'all got fucked over in the college football playoff. Y'all got fucked over. Y'all, Louisiana, Coastal Carolina, especially you guys, y'all got fucked. I mean, how the hell do you put a 2-loss Iowa State team ahead of you at 6? And when one of those losses was to Louisiana, who was number 19.
Yeah.
Then they didn't just lose to Louisiana, they got their asses kicked by Louisiana.
They got mollywopped, yeah.
How the hell does that happen? You go from 5 to 6 to 7 to eventually 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And y'all didn't lose. I don't think y'all did. You didn't lose the game. Yeah,
no.
You didn't even play. Exactly, you didn't play. But they went down, down. Here comes Iowa State. 2-loss Iowa State. Up, 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 up. There's Georgia. Up, up. Florida. Up, up. Y'all got fucked over. If there was a year to have a group of 5 team in it, last year would have been it.
Yes, because you could absolutely justify it by saying, hey, the Big Ten just didn't play enough games. Right? I mean, that's real easy. You could very, very easily just be like, they didn't play enough games. I'm an adjunct Ohio State fan from the standpoint of I live here. They're a giant program. You can't help but be like, oh, yeah, I noticed those dudes. Yeah, I get it. Sure, I root for them to do well. Go Ohio. But I'm a Bearcat fan. But you could very easily say Ohio State played 5 games or whatever the hell it is that they played.
Yeah.
Bearcats played 9-10 games. Sorry, you just didn't play enough games to get here and slide them in very easily.
Yeah.
Or Iowa State. You have 2 losses, one of which is versus a team that is ranked significantly below the Bearcats.
You lost to them at home.
Yeah.
Lost to them at home.
You could very easily put this group of 5 team in. The problem for the committee with doing that is you open Pandora's box, right?
Okay.
You, by allowing this one exception, even if it's in this really ridiculous COVID crazy whatever year, it's, well, you let UC in that one time. And now UCF is 13-0 2 years in a row, and they grabbed a couple of big schools that they could throw on the schedule. I mean, I think, next year the Bearcats play like Notre Dame.
They play Notre Dame and Indiana.
In Indiana, right.
Yeah.
So, now the Bearcats take care of business next year, and Notre Dame is who they typically are, a ranked team, top 10, top 5, top, in that general vicinity. If Indiana plays like they played Ohio State last year and is on the come, it's going to be super hard if the Bearcats run the table to deny them a spot.
Andre, they'll find a way.
They will.
They'll find a way. The same way they found a way this year with Ohio State. Just got to tell you, we've talked about it on the show. They'll find a way because they remind me, because my memory is bad, and plus I don't necessarily care about Ohio State football. No disrespect to the entire state, but they didn't play that last game against Michigan, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Matter of fact, leading up to that game, I jokingly said on this show, what if Michigan decides they don't want to play that last game to go ahead and make sure that Ohio State doesn't have enough games
and they changed
to make it to the championship game?
They changed the rules on the fly.
And they changed the rule. I told you that. Hey,
they went in and said, we got to play a minimum of 6 games in order to make this legit. Cool. Y'all don't want to play that 6 game? We got to play a minimum of 5 games.
Hey, fellas, you guys are hip-hop fans. You know the lyrics. Sing it with me. Girl, you broke my heart for the evening. Kiss my cheek, moved in, and you confuse things.
Yeah.
Help me find a way. They found a way for this. My God, they found a way for this to happen, which leads me to believe any other time they'll find a way to make sure that Power 5 gets in there.
Yeah.
And this past year was the perfect year for them to go ahead and test and expand it. They chose not to, and I already understand it. And I'm fine with it now because I understand it. I don't like it, but I'm fine with it. It's about ratings, and it's about getting Power 5 in there. Okay, fine, cool. The thing is, if you just come out and say this, so that the rest of the world stop beefing and complaining and coming up with conspiracy theories and trying to figure out what, then everybody else will understand, and I guess they might be fine with it too. It'll take a couple of years to get used to, but the cries for more playoff spots will get louder, as it should, because you're always eliminating that 1 and or 2 power conference team from making it to the playoffs. Pac-12, Big Ten, as they always are, unless there's an exception to the rule where someone goes undefeated.
Right.
And 2 SEC teams.
Yeah, that's right. Notre Dame was the ACC team last year. So, yeah.
So there you go. So that's what it's going to be. So it is what it is. I just wish they would come out and say it. Or just go ahead and expand it already, because I'm tired of the cries. Because for whatever reason, no one else wants to understand it.
Look at the MLB expanded the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
To include extra teams.
Yeah.
The NFL expanded the playoffs to include extra teams because we were in extenuating circumstances, unprecedented circumstances, right? That, man, we need to make an exception to the rule. If no other year, this is the year, because if nothing else, people are going to eat that shit up.
Right.
Yes.
Like,
We don't have nothing else to
You don't
watch.
tell me people are going to turn down watching extra playoff games in college football. This is we did this last year, Andre. Just right quick. I'm going off of memory, so I'm probably going to fuck these rosters up. But we were going like say, what if I always say if you're going to really make it inclusive, have at least 10 squads. That means all five power fives, all five group of fives, maybe your two highest ranked non-conference champs. Right? So we did seedings. Like basically the first two squads got the buys. It would be Alabama and I think it was Clemson were the top two teams, right? So they would get the buys. So so basically, what if you had like matchups like we kicked it around. We say like UC would play if you look at the rankings last year, UC I think they would play Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. And given that UC was a conference champ, the game would have been at Nippert Stadium here in Cincinnati. How cool would that have been to have Georgia, SEC squad, come to Cincinnati to play the UC Bearcats?
Right.
And they played them well in the bowl game, as it was. So imagine that was a real game.
Right.
For a spot to go to the semifinals.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. People would see that. You know, the aspect of David hosting a Goliath. And a good David, a David that was a damn good squad. And it was Coastal Carolina won that conference last year. So Coastal Carolina would have, I think I had them against Notre Dame. So you wouldn't tell me no one will watch that game.
Right. Like the intrigue would be off the charts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Off the charts.
Come on. So anyway, I said all that to say that it is what it is. But the reason why I brought it up to you, Dwayne, Andrew, in the first place is we mentioned Luke Fickell. There was room for him to go to Michigan State. He said, hell no, I'm going to stay here and do my thing. And I don't blame him. Because you lost a team, you lost a guy once to Michigan State that was Mark D'Antonio. A lot of people don't know Mark D'Antonio came from UC. And he basically was responsible for putting them on the path they're on now.
Yes.
It was him.
And Brian Kelly.
And Brian Kelly took it once upon a time to the stratosphere.
Yep.
Before he left for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So that a lot of people don't know that. But the point is, do you see Luke Fickell sticking around for, this is what, his third or fourth year?
Like fourth or fifth year.
Okay, so he's been
around
long
for a minute.
So do you see a team lure him to greener pastures that's not named Ohio State? Because Ohio State would be like home to him.
So I always consider like the top-notch blue bloods, right? So in the sport, say Nick Saban decides to retire and Alabama comes calling. You're not turning down Alabama.
Correct.
You're not turning down Florida. You're not turning down, USC, right? I mean, these are institutions that, if he might turn down Michigan just because he's an Ohio State dude, but even that would be tough. If Ohio State came calling.
Oh, he's gone.
Right? So there are institutions that nobody is turning down the opportunity to go coach there.
Sure.
Now, if Ole Miss came calling, maybe not. It's an SEC school. I could probably make a little more money. I got a little bit better facilities, but is that worth a move, right? And now, instead of being the top dog in the AAC, where at least whether it's a real chance or not, I got a shot at being in the top 4 to 6, or I go coach at Ole Miss, where ain't no way in hell
I'm getting my head beat in. in the conference.
In Alabama, Florida, you know what I'm saying, right?
No, LSU in your own division.
Like
LSU,
all of
A&M.
those places that I gotta compete against, where I'm the number 23 team in the country, but I'm the 4th best team in my own damn conference.
Yeah.
If that, at best. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's your ceiling.
I mean, as big as people's egos are, you're not competing today versus a Nick Saban. You're just not doing it.
Right.
It's just not happening. That dude rolls out of bed and a 5-star recruit is like, I'm coming to your school. Right. So you don't have those opportunities. So I think where Luke Fickell is, he's in a very good spot. He is the man at UC. The man. As big as basketball was under Huggins in, you know, the 90s and the early 2000s and like all of that, and as big as that basketball, it was a basketball school for so long.
It was.
It is now a football school. 100%. So he is the man across campus. They take care of him. They're redoing the facilities, the football facilities for him at his request. So do you go from being the man and being revered and having everything and anything that you ever want to have within reason at $2 to $4 million a year, or do you go and be the 6th best person at $7 million a year, but nobody really pays attention to you? You'll be here for 3 years, and then we'll go to the next person. Right. And that's where you are. That's why he can take and look at an opportunity like Michigan State and say, y'all about to fall under some heavy sanctions. There's some suspect things going on with the program. I'm going to be behind Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. You know, I'm going to be competing with Wisconsin, Nebraska. Like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah. And plus, you know, I like the way they remodeled the Nipper Stadium. It looks modern. Looks like a real football stadium.
It looks real good.
And so, again, a lot of that could be attributed to him. A lot of that could be contributed to, I forgot what you call it. Like, I forgot what the terminology is used in college sports, which comes to cost of attendance. It could be cost of attendance. You know, that extra pot thrown into extra money thrown into scholarships there. But this facilities are night and day from when I first moved here in 1999. It's different. It's night and day. And, you know, and it's led to the product improving. And so, again, we're talking about leaving schools in a certain state. I mean, Luke Fickell has made it. I mean, again, Mark D'Antonio started in the 90s. Brian Keller took it to the stratosphere for a while.
Yep.
And Bruce Jones did Bruce Jones shit. Bush Jones, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Tommy Thibodeau, I ain't gonna talk about that.
That was a dark couple 2 3 years. Woo! That was panic by UC.
Yeah.
As an administration. So when I talked about earlier, UC being a stepping stone opportunity, right? They took a shot at changing that perception. Let's get an established coach who will be here for the rest of his career and run it the next 10 years, right? The problem with that is he came in saying, I ain't gotta do shit. I'm Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah.
I don't have to go to these high school, you know, shindigs and shenanigans. Like, I don't got to do that. I'm Tommy Tuberville. You'll want to play for me.
He thinks he's still at Auburn, basically.
Right? Yeah. Excuse me. It's the quintessential. Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Right. And
oddly enough, that's what got him elected. Yeah. But
correct. So it's, do you know who I am? That's my recruiting pitch.
Yeah.
I'm not working. I'm not busting ass. I'm not in these recruits' homes. I'm not, going to this high school stag to meet and greet and shake hands. Because I'm Tommy Tuberville. Do you know who I am?
Mm.
Of course your kid wants to come play for me. What you need, it's about the program. I don't care who the coach is. Give me somebody who's going to hustle. Give me somebody who is going to work. Give me somebody who's out there day and night trying to improve the program. I don't care if the ultimate goal is because I want to coach for Notre Dame. I don't care if the ultimate goal is because I want to coach for Michigan State or because I want to coach for Tennessee, or because I want to coach for Alabama. I don't care. The fact of the matter is you are busting your tail every day, every night to make this program better than what it was than when you got here so that you have the opportunity to go somewhere else. And then you bring in that next person who wants to take it from, all right, cool, we were winning 8 games a year. We're going to take that to 10 games a year. Screw that. We're going to take it from 10 games a year to we going undefeated every year. Okay, we're going to take it from undefeated every year to we are really pressing the committee to find a reason to keep us out of the top 4. That's the type of program and that's the type of coach UC should be looking for every time it needs a new head coach here.
Yeah. It's well said, brother. Well said. I think Fickle, again, to your point, if the Bluebirds don't come calling, he's going to be around for a little while. He's already he established his culture. I didn't realize it's been 4 to 5 years already. So which is great. Let's say this. Do you have time for do a part 2 next week?
Yeah.
All right, let's call it. It's been about a couple hours. I could talk about Cincinnati sports for a while because, again, I've been immersed in this for, like, if you count my first stint here, almost 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been my life for almost 10 years. And so it's great wrapping all things Cincinnati sports. Next week, we're going to pick up a little bit again. I want to get into MLS or as far as FC Cincinnati. I want to do the 513 first because that's the big 3 on the shirt. But I want to talk more about HBCU sports next week as far as because there's a connection, the Cincinnati connection as it pertains to Arkansas Pine Bluff. Dwayne knows who that guy is. You probably know who that guy is too, Andre. But yeah, I want to get to next week so that we can just split it.
And we got to talk about my dog, Maceo Teague, son.
That's right.
Serious. Walnut Hills High School graduate.
You know what? I'll talk about this more coming, but yeah, we'll get to that. So let's call it right quick. Thank y'all for tuning into the Nice Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the Cincinnati sports portion of it. It's cool. It's cool to talk local sports, especially with the larger tradition that the Reds have. The Bengals, talking about the Bengals and the Bearcats, story programs, storied institutions. So we're going to get into more of that next week. We're going to more HBCU sports next week as well. In the meantime, check out the Wayne Nash, the Yards HBCU Sports, wraps up all things HBCU Sports. Sleazy Radio every Tuesday now on Facebook Live. And I forgot about HeroSports.com. I'm sorry, Dwayne. HeroSports.com, where it talks about FCS as it pertains to HBCUs.
You'll find me on HBCUsports.com as well occasionally.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm a contributor there too. Yeah.
And I was going, Andre, I meant to ask you, do you still do like Locked On Bengals? Do you still do that?
Nah.
Or you don't do that anymore?
They went pure podcast. I was writing for them and for them, but they went pure podcast. So you can just find me at Andre Edwards 06 on Twitter.
There you go. Cool. And 2 things. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. You'll be happy. We'll be happy. And so hit the bell so you get notifications. So you get this episode. Go get next week's part 2. And last but not least, get the damn merch. Get the damn merch. CafePress.com. Search for the Clown Time Sports. And also, wash your hands. If you're not vaccinated, get the damn shot. Wear a mask. Don't be a Karen. Wear a mask. Please. I'm tired of sitting at home. Please. Let's end this thing already.
Yo, man, I'm going to tell you this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I work at a hospital.
Yes, that's right.
You're vaccinated, people.
Yes.
Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Do your part to make everybody safe. right?
On
That's all I'm asking. I don't care if you don't care about you. I don't care if you don't care about your neighbor. Care about those who are close to you. Care about your loved ones. Take care of each other. All right.
There you go. And on
Get
that
the
note,
Barry Bonds in your butt cheeks.
and on that note, peace out.